हरे कृष्णा प्रभु जी, दंडवत प्रणाम। कैसे हैं? वेरी गुड। आप कैसे हैं?
क्लास
वंडरफुल।
कृष्णा माता जी,
हरे कृष्णा प्रभु।
हरे कृष्णा।
हरे कृष्णा प्रभु जी।
it's
हरि
nice.
बोल। Sorry?
No, I said I was going to thank Nipapad Prabhu for adding visuals to the Acharya series.
Yeah, so nice. Yeah, full encyclopedia.
Yeah.
Now we know whom to ask the pictures of any Goswamis or any, places of.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Chaitanya Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Malati Mataji. Hare Krishna, Sumit Prabhu. You can no muting today.
Yeah.
This session
Hare
no
Krishna,
muting,
Prabhu.
no what do you call video. They're so used to Zoom means as soon as you enter Zoom, you have to be on mute. So this is one exception. No muting.
That's a pre-qualification.
Anyway, somebody points.
Jaya Radha
Kunja Bihari. Jaya
Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana.
Yamuna
Kunja Bihari.
Kunja Bihari.
Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna Hare Hare,
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Radha Giridhari Radha, Giridhari Radha.
Radha Giridhari Radha Giridhari Radha.
Tattva Jaya Pancha Tattva
Jaya
Jaya Panchatattva Jaya Panchatattva Jaya Panchatattva. थोड़ा सा
Jaya Jaya Prabhupada,
Jaya Jaya Prabhupada.
Jaya Jaya Gurudev,
Jaya Jaya Gurudev.
Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Devotee Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Chal Shilaridas Thakur
की जय
Name se kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivas Adi Gaur Bhakti Vrinda ki jai. Shri Radha Krishna Bhagwan ki jai.
जय
Jagannatha Baladev Subhadra Maiya ki jai.
जय
Shri Gaur Nitai ki
की
jai.
जय
All glories to the Supreme Devotees.
हरे कृष्णा
The Supreme Devotees. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to the Supreme Devotees. Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्णा
All glories to the Lord Sri Guru and Sri Guru.
श्री गौरंग
All
उद्घोष श्री
glories to the Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate
वासुदेवाय
Vasudevaya.
Narayanam Namaskritya
Devi Saraswati
देवी
Ayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata
भगवते सेवया
Bhagavatam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki Bhagavatam
Today, so everybody is all ready with the scientific process of devotional service. So, who will feel inspired to share the science with others? There's no hands, I have to pick a hand. Did I see? Everything Mataji's hand go up or just touching with this?
No, its audio is, maybe I was thinking, maybe I should put this.
You can hear me fine, right?
I can, little bit.
Little bit.
I will
Just go ahead with the hand.
Yeah.
And?
Yep.
Better?
It's from my side probably. So I put the earphones.
Okay. So we'll just quickly, one of us can present. So the scientific process of devotional service. So obviously we can cover 13, 14, 15 as part of our discussion. And then from 16 to 22 is the actual process that's given in this chapter 2. Okay. So who would like to start? And then of course we'll all.
Right. Probably I will start.
Okay.
Because I might get a call to answer, so I'll get that one.
Okay.
Turn my phone off, but I've just from what is it? From 13 to 15. Yeah.
Yep.
The word which was highlight for me was a twice born. We are born twice. Okay. And what it says is the highest perfection that can be achieved to bring happiness in your life, and how do we please Krishna? That is the goal. The process, the scientific process is in the different steps. So the first one is discharging duties, which is prescribed according to your caste and according to the order of Varnashram. In Kali Yuga, we have to cooperate jointly for the satisfaction of Supreme Personality of Godhead. All the Varnashrama has to join, or all the caste have to join to please the Krishna. That is what my understanding is. Second step is constantly hearing, glorifying, remembering, and worshipping Krishna. And in Kali Yuga, we have a different tendency to glorify others. And instead of that, we must turn that to the real object of Supreme Lord. Third one is by cutting through the binding knots of karma and by remembering Krishna, so that we cut the knots and get over cycle of birth and death. The fourth one is a constant association with spiritual activities of Krishna that will give liberation from the bondage, and that will be the byproduct of the devotional service. So we get liberated by the constant association with spiritual activities. And there was also the types of yoga as per the spiritual activity and those as per your devotional service, and that was karma yoga, jnana yoga, and bhakti yoga. And I think that is all for me. My understanding highlights from 13 to 15.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes, so do you want to add 16 to 22 in this, or we should discuss this part and then move on?
No,
Have
that's
we
not,
discussed this one?
This part? Okay, fine. Yes,
Yeah.
Krishna Prabhu.
This three texts, 13, 14, 15, is the basic preparation for the process of bhakti.
Very
So
good.
before we start the devotional service, we need to prepare ourselves. We need to know what should be the process, what should be our duty, and how it can be maintained through different processes. The first one, 13, is giving us the instruction how this varnashram is important for us in the process of devotional service.
Yep.
And 14 is asking us or mentioning us what should be our way, how we should proceed towards that devotional service. So it says, Tasmat ekana manasa. It should be one-pointed attention and constantly hear, glorify, remember, and worship. This way, we prepare ourselves for the process of devotional service. And when we do this, what happens? We get ready for by the process of one-pointed attention, glorifying the Lord, remembering and worshipping. We are cutting down the reactionary work of our binding knots. And that way, we prepare ourselves to the process of devotional service. And onwards, 16 to 22, that's the whole process of Bhakti Yoga with the 9 stages.
Stages, yeah.
Which starts with Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, Bhajan Kriya, then Anartha Nivriti, Nishta, Ruchi, Ashakti, Bhav, and Prem. So that's all about the chapter is. Thank you, Prabhuji.
That's nice, highlighting the process before the scientific points. Okay, anybody else? Shwati has something.
Just from this 13 to 15 text, what I understand is, it is talking about what is the highest perfection of one's life. So what is the highest perfection? Even if you're born in any caste or even in the Varnashrama system, also the 4 Varnashrama system is there, but the highest occupation is the devotional service. So how do we do the devotional service? By one-pointed attention. Okay, so we have to focus, we have to bring that into one
Yeah.
one pointed attention. We have to focus on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And in the 15th, it is also mentioned that this devotional service is free from jnana and karma. It is independent.
Yep.
Yes, and just that's why, because it is independent, that's why you have the only thing which one can do remaining in the whatever place he is in the Varnashrama system, all the 4 divisions and the 4 castes, wherever he's situated, and because it is independent, he can practice this devotional service. And by doing that, he can achieve perfection, which is to attain the Supreme. That's it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Prabhu, you want to add something?
No, for me, I just want to, wonderful presentation to everybody. Just want to summarize in one word what 13, 14, and 15 stands for me. So verse 13 in one word is basically the objective, 14 is the process, and 15 is the result. In short, if you to remember.
Yeah.
Mm.
And
Nice.
then comes the scientific process of how these 3 works from 16 to 22, the details of how that actually is affected. Thank you, Haribo.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much well.
That was good. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
One word is good.
Yeah.
Remember only that word.
Yeah, I wanted to add in the 14, the process, I remember only 4 things, 4 points over there, Prabhuji. Hear, glorify, remember, and then worship.
Correct. It's one of the very
Yeah.
often quoted verses.
Yeah,
in
that's
terms of
important.
How to discharge devotional service.
Yeah.
How to start and how to maintain.
Yeah.
There's no
Glorify, remember, and worship.
That's what I have written in my notes, nothing else. Worship. But Prabhupada's writing was so good. Whenever I saw there is an overcoated with the devotional service, karma overcoated.
Overcoated,
That was I was laughing when I was reading. It's so much. It's yeah.
And
Yeah.
also,
Even in the 15th text, it is mentioned that, with one pointed with the sword in hand, intelligent person cut down the.
cut down. Mm.
So what is that? What is that sword? It is actually, it's mentioned in chapter 15 of Bhagavad Gita. That is about detachment. Is talking.
Attachment.
Yeah.
Vairagya,
Knowledge and
detachment.
detachment.
The banyan tree which we did.
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
we did that one. So that is also, you can link that over here.
Mm.
So that is the thing that we have to be detached.
Knowledge and detachment.
Knowledge with detachment.
and also saying, Srila Prabhupada tells it to Malti, and then it made me more alert. So that has worked
Yeah,
for me.
that's nice.
I was wondering where is
Prabhuji,
Malati
for that
mentioned.
Yeah. It's nice.
Hare Krishna, Sandhya Madhuri just joined in.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
Krishna, I'm sorry I'm late because my Prabhuji works at 2 in the morning,
Oh, okay.
and then he just got back home, so I have to prepare prasadam for him, order offering, prepared, and now he can join.
Oh my God.
That's why I'm always late on when Saturdays if he's working at 2 in the morning.
Oh my God. Is it roasted or just the weekend?
It's a roaster. It's a roaster weekend 2 to 11, so he comes home early 11:30. So the prasadam has to be ready, and so your class and his one conflict a little bit. Only a few
Oh,
minutes.
right. That's okay.
So I just finished offering, and now he can eat now. My apologies for the late.
No problem,
That's all
Madhuri.
right. We
All
just
good.
started.
Mataji only make khichdi on Saturdays for
Doesn't
prasadam.
He doesn't eat khichdi, Mataji. So
Oh.
I just made paranthe and aloo matar di sabji. That's all.
Wow. We all should come there.
No problem.
Don't describe.
Yeah,
Describe it.
don't describe,
Yeah.
honestly.
Okay, thank you.
All good. So we were just doing the precursor to the main section. So 13, 14, 15. And yeah, all the devotees were just sharing what they found from these
13,
3
14, 15.
verses. Yeah. There's just one thing I would like to highlight in 13 especially. And this is in the context where people, they ask us that why did Krishna create this Varna and Ashram, because it is causing so much havoc in society. Right? So we need to understand it in the right perspective. So first thing is the current society, the way it follows so-called the caste system. It is not Varnashram. We should not use the word Varnashram in the current context of society today. There is no Varnashram.
It doesn't
What
exist.
is relevant today is a forced caste system
By birth.
that only benefits a few limited individuals in society. It is nothing to do with Varnashram. So we have to be very clear on that, with that understanding, and communicate that accordingly. So it has nothing to do with scripture. It has nothing to do with the Varnashram. It is something that has got completely corrupted and misused, and now it's not neither here nor there. It's on its way out. But the real Varnashram is as Krishna gives in Bhagavad Gita and describes in detail in Srimad Bhagavatam, especially Canto 7, the four orders of human society. And in this purport, text 13, the last paragraph, Prabhupada writes that herein in the statement of Bhagavatam is the highest aim of life or the highest perfection of the institution of Varnashram Dharma is to
Cooperate.
Yes.
jointly for the satisfaction of the Lord. That whole sentence is very important. So we have to cooperate. All the Varnas and Ashrams, they have to cooperate with each other. Why? For the satisfaction of the Lord.
Of the Lord.
That is what the Lord wants. And based on guna and karma, they are classified as doing different types of activities based on their conditioning. So that it doesn't matter what conditioning it is, what guna and karma it is, at the end of the day, they all cooperate with each other. And they please the Supreme Lord, and each one of them, in all the Varnas, in all the Ashram, each one of them can achieve the ultimate goal. So where is the inequality? There is no question of inequality. So don't look at the outward dress. Look at the purpose. So this I thought was a very powerful statement to remember. And it just, I mean, there's many things in the purport before that also, but here I like that word, cooperate jointly for the satisfaction of the Lord. I think it's something.
In Sanskrit, Haritoshanam. That's the word.
Haritoshanam. That's it. Samsiddhir Haritoshanam. And 14 is, as Devotee Mataji pointed out, is we cannot remember this. We cannot forget this. Sorry. Tasmad ekena manasa. And this also, do you recollect a verse in Bhagavatam that talks about something to do with ekena? With one pointed attention. Chapter 2.
Bhagavad Gita.
Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2. Yeah.
Bhagavad Gita.
It's the next verse after one of our favorite verses, 241. Hare Krishna, I knew that. Venkateshwar Prabhu has perfectly responded. Vyavasayatmika buddhi ekeha kurunandana. See, that's what we have to, unless we discuss it and relate back to scriptures, we'll forget.
Yeah.
Right? So here you see, he says, Tasmad ekena manasa. And in Bhagavad Gita also Krishna says, Vyavasayatmika buddhi ekeha kurunandana. Just we should be very focused. So here also the point is, before we do devotional service, we have to be focused. It cannot be multitasking. Right? Problem is, we multitask and we do these activities and we think, why am I not progressing in Bhakti? Why am I not getting the taste of chanting? Why am I not getting some taste in reading Prabhupada's books? And then we go out and try to do so many activities, and everything either falls apart or doesn't really manifest in the way that they should. Why? Because our basic, we have a problem. So this verse is actually a verse for us. Tasmat ekena manasa. Manasa means we are
Mind.
doing all our
Intention of the
sadhana
mind.
bhakti. We are doing how?
Mhm.
What is the process of doing our sadhana bhakti, nectar of devotion?
Senses and mind.
Two things. There are two things that are involved in sadhana bhakti. Primarily. Yeah, that's mind and senses.
Mm.
So we do, of course, the body does it in terms of activities, but the mind and the senses are actually the real doers. They are telling, they are propelling us, propelling gross body to engage in activities. So here the mind has to be focused on what? Bhagavan Satvatam Pati.
Mm.
And do these four activities: Shrotavya, Kirtitavya, Dheya, and Pujya. SKDP.
Mm.
Or you can also say HGRW. Either or.
Mm.
Yeah.
You just have this synonym written, you will not forget. So we hear, after we hear, again we glorify. So Shravanam, Kirtanam,
Mm.
same process. And then you remember, Smaranam,
Mm.
and then you pujas,
Worship.
you worship. Of course, in worship there are many processes of worshiping, but essentially it's those two. And Prabhupada nicely writes that if we don't glorify Krishna, guess what? We will glorify
Material.
Mm.
Significant.
that somebody else could be us or somebody else. So if we, because see, the mind is always looking forward to glorifying, oh,
Someone.
so nice, oh, this is good, right? The mind says it is good, and the senses think, oh, I must have it. So if we don't glorify Krishna consciously, our mind will glorify somebody else or ourselves subconsciously. We have the choice. Either let the mind do whatever it is doing and go to hell, or focus the mind in glorify Krishna. And that's why Prabhupada writes, the tendency to glorify others or hear others must be turned to the real object of glorification,
Mm.
the Supreme Being. Why? That will bring happiness. That will bring real happiness. And then 15th is, of course, I've highlighted what Devotee Mataji just pointed out. Such knowledge must be overcoated,
Mm.
right, with devotional service, so that ultimately the devotional service alone predominates. Because we all start off with our bhakti is not pure. Our bhakti is Mishra Bhakti. First we are into other processes. We are not even in karma. Right? Sometimes we are in vikarma and then bhakti suddenly.
Yeah.
Right? And then we start doing some karma, some jnana, some bhakti. Vikarma is also going on simultaneously. You know, we think that, oh, once I start doing bhakti, my vikarma is gone. Actually, that's not the case. Whether consciously or subconsciously, we are engaging in vikarma. Right? So the whole idea is we engage in this process, as Paneshwar very nicely said yesterday, you know, that we need to stretch ourselves.
I like it.
So wonderful. He says we need to constantly think, how can I stretch myself to engage in more austerity? Why? So that my vikarmas, my attachment to karma and jnana, they become less and less and less, and then I can engage more time in bhakti activities that lead to bhakti. So this one is very important. Yes.
That reminds me, Prabhu, yesterday's class when Prabhuji was saying, what stretch lockdown is making me, kitchen is closed, but I was telling to myself, oh my God, I shouldn't go to the kitchen at all during the work, 8 hours.
Yeah.
Sure.
You also keep the other people happy, you see.
Yeah. It's a good way to go to the work actually. So we don't eat that much. But here every time kitchen is very close. I open them sometime.
Eat more than normal and
Yeah.
rest more than normal.
Yeah, that actually yesterday's was very, very good. That made me remind,
Yeah.
okay, get up early, stretch, Roja, stretch. Very good class.
Yes, so wonderful. That's why we need that. It's a wonderful series.
Even about food also, most of the time, like, we spend so much time in cooking.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
always like the cooking is the main activity, especially for the Matajis. And what are we going to cook and all? And then he stated that example of the Goswamis, that's why he said that whenever you think that, I'm doing it very high level, you should think actually, remember what Goswamis were doing. They were eating once in 3 days. Well, we
Yeah.
are not there to imitate, but just to remember that how they were practicing the devotional service. It focuses us more that we should actually have focus should be on Krishna rather than other worldly things. Yeah, that
But
was a
Mataji
big
is
realization.
very difficult, Mataji, when we got hungry children at home and hungry husbands. Hungry husbands.
Mataji, how many?
Oh God. I mean,
Yeah, I
hungry.
know. That's what we are all grihasthas. That is what we don't imitate. But the thing is that what he was coming from the point is we have to minimize things. Not like
Minimize.
elaborate cooking, like we are making 3-4 because my husband like this, my daughter like this, and then you make all this, nothing like that. Simple, our Guru Maharaj is like, he's like simple khichdi is fine, but we cannot survive on khichdi. But yeah, we just make dal rice, one sabji enough.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that is how we minimize our time. So it is not that no, because she likes, and then we end up in being in the kitchen only because we want to fulfill all others' expectations.
Yeah.
So that has to be minimized. So one person likes something, you just cook for him, and others should also, they should cooperate and have that food. And some other day we'll cook for somebody else. That's how. Yeah. So these are all practical tips to take.
Well, I'll suggest Mataji, maybe you can do one day Indian, one day Chinese, one day manage yourself. I do it like that once a week for yourself.
Yeah, I do sometimes like that, to satisfy everyone,
Yeah. So
I
it's
do
easy.
Western, some Chinese, everybody is happy.
So when it's Ekadashi, kitchen is closed.
Okay, let's get back to Bhagavatam. Others will be too hungry now.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, in 15, I just wanted to highlight one statement at the end of the first paragraph. In the purport, Prabhupada writes that they are all attractive spiritual activities. And therefore, constant association with the spiritual activities of the Supreme Lord gradually spiritualizes the conditioned soul and ultimately severs the knot of material bondage. It is not an instant one-day process. It's
Eventually,
gradual, right? But what we need to do? Constantly associate with the spiritual activities. And that's why Prabhupada has given us a full morning program, whether somebody is in the temple or at home. The full morning program is very important. Right, from Mangalarti, chanting, offering, Bhagavatam, reading, everything. And for all of us, it's not just about reading and Mangalarti, it's also chanting and Mangalarti, it's also reading. So we have to somehow push that in the morning program only. And then rest of the day, whenever we have time, of course we can do. Yes, Sumit Prabhu, you have something to add?
Yes, Prabhuji. I think everyone has covered everything. Just on 14, one word that hit me was constantly hear, glorify, remember, and worship. Sorry. Worship and worshiping are general occupations. That word, general occupation. Usually, if you ask people, what is your general occupation? They see it from a material point of view, but Prabhupada is nicely saying that these are our general occupation. Right? There's nothing else. These are the main general occupations. And on 15, I think I liked the one in the last paragraph. It says they have chalked out ways. So last line, basically, they have chalked out ways for all classes of men. So I think here Prabhupada is giving the example of all the Goswamis, because at the moment we are going with the classes where all the senior devotees are coming in and glorifying Goswamis, and pretty much it shows that the example of Goswami shows us that how they were not just writing immense literatures of transcendental science for our benefit, but at the same time, they were implementing it also. They were following whatever instruction they gave it to us. So that's why I just like this line, chalked out the ways for all classes of men. So they have given us so much literature. It's us, our time that we need to follow.
Correct.
And implement.
Yeah.
That's it.
Very nice.
Good.
Okay, I think that's pretty much that section covered. Any other comments of the thoughts? No? Okay.
Second para, last line of 15. I just want to point out the super importance of Bhakti Yoga, the glories of Bhakti Yoga. Last line of the second paragraph of Srila Prabhupada's purport.
Yes.
But pure Bhakti Yoga is independent of such karma and jnana. It alone can not only endow one with liberation from conditional life, but also at the same time award one with transcendental loving service. So why Bhakti Yoga is superior to all the other processes is something in one state.
Correct. Yeah, liberation from conditional life.
Yeah, because Bhakti Yoga is independent. So nothing, we don't depend on Bhakti is
Any
not
other things.
dependent on any other thing. And Bhakti begins Bhakti. Only when we do Bhakti, then we get Bhakti. No other process will give Bhakti. That's why it is beyond liberation also.
That's
So
right.
is that understanding correct, Prabhu? In that Bhakti Yoga, all the knots of the karma will be destroyed. That's what
Yes.
in this.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
Siddhanti.
So that's why we read that line in the first paragraph at the end. It severs the knot of material bondage.
And later on, Srila Prabhupada will go on to explain what exactly that knot is. That is also called the knot of ahankar.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so we move on to 16 to 22. Who would like to start that?
I'll start.
Okay.
Shushrushoho Shraddhat Hanasya Vasudeva Katha Ruchihi Swan Mahat Sevaya Vipraha Punya Tirtha Nishe Vanat. O twice born sages, by serving those devotees who are completely freed from all vices, from all vice, great service is done. By such service, one gains affinity for hearing the messages of Vasudev. So for 16, basically, I think it's about, do I continue, Prabhu?
Yeah. You can take just basically we're doing a gist of that section, 16 to 22 quickly. And so gist and what is it that you've got from this section on a personal level?
Okay, so this is started to cover the 9 stages of bhakti.
Yeah.
So the first one is faith, shraddha, and then we have the bhajan kriya, and the third one is sadhu sangha. So it's captured in that verse. So some key points maybe I would like to share is these asuras are gradually rectified to God consciousness by the mercy of Lord's liberated servitors in different countries according to the supreme will. Such devotees of God are very confidential associates of the Lord, and when they come to save human society from the dangers of godlessness, they are known as the powerful incarnations of the Lord, as sons of the Lord, as servants of the Lord, as associates of the Lord. Similarly, what Srila Prabhupada has, leaders in this ISKCON. And the next paragraph will be, he continues, but none of them falsely claim to be God themselves. The second paragraph, the servants of God are to be respected as God by the devotees who actually want to go back to Godhead. And then Prabhupada continues, such servants of God are called Mahatmas or Tirthas, and they preach according to particular time and place. And then the last paragraph will be the second line from the top. By serving the servant of God, one can please more than by directly serving the Lord. The Lord is more pleased when he sees that his servants are properly respected, because such servants risk everything for the service of the Lord and are so very dear to the Lord. And Prabhupada has given the Lord in the Bhagavad Gita 1869. That's a very nice verse there. And the last line of that paragraph, the eagerness to hear about God is the first qualification of a devotee eligible for entering the kingdom of God.
The highlight of that thing.
Highlight of the whole verse, yeah.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
first qualification is to hear.
That's all for 16.
I was saying, yeah, that is good. 16th. Anybody would like to do a bit of a summary, because 16 to 22 is kind of connected. So what I was looking at is, now, of course, we've looked at all the points in the purport, which is good. But before that, if we just do an overview. 16
Oh,
to 22.
okay.
Just
Shall
a
I
quick
come?
overview. Yeah.
Okay.
If you have that overview, you can just mention that just quickly. Just a few minutes.
Okay, I'll just say what I can, Prabhuji, if you don't mind.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
the text 17, it continues to the next qualification of the bhakti process. So the fourth one, the 17th verse is about the abhadrani, is about anartha navritti. And then in that verse, in that purport, it's we talk about the holy name of the Lord has all potencies of the Lord, that he has endowed his innumerable names with the same potency. So before that, it is talked, Prabhupada mentioned, whenever therefore offenseless hearing and glorification of God are undertaken, it is understood that Lord Krishna is present there in the form of transcendental sound, which is powerful as the Lord personally. So the offenseless hearing of 10 offenses and manner of hearing here is concluded in this whole verse. And text 18, it's the next one. It talks about nishta, steadiness, bhakti quality, and it talks about that we have always to be steady in that way. And there's another word that is mentioned here, the two types of Bhagavatas, Bhagavata and the devotee of Bhagavata, I think was mentioned in the very beginning of the Srimad Bhagavatam. This is repeated again in this purport. I think was in the preface or introduction. And then and 19 is about, and of course, you asked me to summarize. So 19 is the next quality, asakti, attached. We talk about the Brahma Bhuta stage. And in the text 19, getting rid of the lower modes, bhakti perform 3 modes. And I think it's a repetition of Bhagavad Gita is mentioned in this verse, 1854, Brahma Bhuta or Atmanandi, or the state of self-satisfaction. And he talk about the qualities of Krishna. We are being part and parcel of Krishna, but Krishna is being Vibhu and we are Anu. So we talk about, qualitative Bheda Anu and quantitative Abheda Vibhu. That's the highlight I can think of here. Thank you.
So what is it that you personally got out of it, this section?
It's the, so basically it covers the 9 stages of bhakti end to end.
How did that help you, or how did you find it? What was attractive to you in that?
Oh,
like we're talking about practical application. So what is it that you were struck by, and what do you plan to do about it? So it's more of a practical application section.
okay. So it's very so the first 3 is very difficult to go through. It's very difficult to move on to the next step because we have so much of material desire. So the anartha navritti is so difficult to detach. but the faith is still there. The faith is still ongoing to move on with Sadhu Sangha, especially with the lectures every evening that's happening every day. So the Sadhu Sangha is there despite the lockdown, but and the Bhajan Kriya is still there because we're still doing chanting, we're singing the Gopi Git songs and so on. We're still reading his books, Prabhupada's books, and hearing all the beautiful lectures from all the different Goswamis and personalities, Maharaj and so on. But my struggle at the moment in the devotional service side is about the detachment. Is because I tell you the truth, the phone is a very distracting thing, and as the computer, which is related to my job, and anything I can just start googling, and which sometimes the resources can be really distracting. So sometimes I really got to focus. I said nope, I have to focus on Prabhupada's books. But it's kind of this lockdown has kind of reminded me, these verses basically have reminded me to try to focus on the 3 stages first, at least, in order to move on to the next stage, to detach. So this is my outcome from this couple of verses. I'm struggling, but I'm getting there slowly, gradually. Like Prabhupada said, constantly we have to keep reminding ourselves. And so there's so much of distraction with family and so on and other things of life, but definitely getting there, but very slowly.
Right.
That's all.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. It's pretty honest confession, and not wanting to move on in spite of so much challenges.
Yes.
I think that's the spirit. Yeah.
Yeah, the lockdown basically, Prabhuji, I tell you frankly, even though we have the Shri Radha Giridhari temple is closed for us, I mean, some people may go for service. I'm not so sure who are going, but it has opened our temple, another temple, much better service we can do, more longer we can talk to the Lordship here at home. And especially reading the Lordship of Srimad Bhagavatam in front of the altar, you feeling like it's like ecstasy where the children, you like to do it when it's complete silence, like they say, pick up the silent moments, and everything goes in and it gets locked here. So this is my observation. And the idea of having a lot of classes every evening, even though I don't have time to listen because I do work sometimes late night, but sometimes the 10 minutes or 15 minutes, even though you capture so many keywords, that has been really, really, really helpful. Despite the lockdown, a very, very good initiative done by whoever who proposed. But yeah, that's really good to keep us going.
Yeah, excellent. That's good. Okay, would like to add on, and so you can add on to what Mataji has already said in terms of the summary. But everybody, I think, needs to just share their personal aspect. I mean, what have you got from this verse, and what do you plan to do about it? Okay. Next hand. No, pehle aap. Okay.
Prabhu, I can go.
Mataji.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, Prabhu, I'm just adding on to what Mataji said. I think she covered it really, really well. For me, text 16 explains the process of Bhajan Kriya. So one gets some mercy from serving pure devotees, and then gaining that mercy, they develop Shraddha and they crave to hear and serve the Lord. So that's the starting point. It covers Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, and Bhajan Kriya. And then very briefly in terms of text 17, then Anartha Nivritti starts, the cleansing process starts, and it continues in text 18. And then obviously in text 19, we've got the development of Ruchi. And then 20 covers the last 2 stages of Bhava and Prema. So probably for me, in terms of how applying the 9 stages, the key part is it just brings out that we've got to continuously be in the process and to serve the 2 types of Bhagavatas, Bhagavatam and the pure devotee, whether it's through listening or associating. And right now, obviously, we can't associate, so we're associating through online mode. And that's important because Prabhupada talks about the cleansing will continue and continue, but we've got to remain in the journey and we've got to do it all the time because it's very easy to slip in this path. So again, just to reiterate what Mataji said, that this initiative has really We can compare the first lockdown with this lockdown, and so this one is really a lot more aesthetic for us, because it's just like, I'm not wanting lockdown to finish now. I know I'm missing Radha Giridhari in terms of going to the temple, but it's not a huge loss because we've got something that mitigates that I'm not having to go to the temple. Absolutely awesome. I've written a lot of notes, but you know, it's for my personal pointers. I don't want to take a lot of time, but yeah, it's really good. Yeah.
Continue the process. Yes. Okay. Who else? After that, Prabhu.
Most of you have covered everything very nicely. And just to very quickly summarize the scientific process, Srila Prabhupada explains very nicely in his purpose of ecstasy. The key thing is the serving of the pure devotee. That's where everything starts, because in verse 15 and verse 14 and 15, we discussed about glorifying, remembering, worshipping, and chanting. But how does one get a taste of that in the first place? Where does it start? That starts with serving of the pure devotee. And by serving the pure devotee and following his instructions, so we get that same taste for the messages of Vasudeva. So that's the highlight of verse 16. So that association is very important to get that taste. And then as we go through the process of that, what happens is then Krishna's Paramatma within the heart commences the cleansing process of the cleansing of the anarthas, so to speak. Anarthas are basically the seed desire for material enjoyment, which is the cause of all other further bondages and ahankar and whatnot. So Paramatma takes care from within as a super soul to clear that. And also by that process, by the cleansing process, also all the things that are troublesome to the heart and all the misconceptions that we have of who we are, who Lord is, what's our connection, all that misconceptions is cleared by the Lord himself. And this again goes back to verse in Bhagavad Gita as well. And then, so once the cleansing process is finished, then pure loving service is established as an irrevocable fact. Irrevocable also meaning irreversible. So this process is irreversible. It's like one-way traffic. And once that stage is reached, loving service is established, then we are on the platform of Shuddha Sattva, or the unalloyed goodness, whereby there is no more trace of qualities of passion and ignorance and the resultant qualities of lust, anger, greed. Everything is cleared up. And in that Shuddha Sattva stage of transcendental happiness, one experiences, one becomes blissful. Not just happiness, he becomes blissful. And at that stage, again, in the Shuddha Sattva stage, one actually receives scientific true knowledge of the personality of Godhead, its different incarnations, and the all the internal workings of the Supreme Lord is only understood at that stage, not even in the stage of goodness, but rather in the stage above goodness, which is Shuddha Sattva, unalloyed goodness. And finally, verse 22 summarizes why this process has been followed by transcendentalists from time immemorial, and why this process of devotional service has been going on. So that's the quick summary of 16 to 22 of the scientific process. For me, the take-home point in this is where it all begins with is serving the pure devotee of the Lord, because that is what kickstarts everything for us in our path of perfection. So surrendering and serving, in this case, spiritual master Srila Prabhupada, and following the instructions and serving the mission is the key underline to achieve the perfection that we are striving to achieve. In the last few days that I've been reading, I've also realized this, that Vrindavan doesn't belong to Sri Krishna. Vrindavan belongs to Srimati Radharani and the Vrajavasis, or in other words, the Guru Parampara that's coming down. So Krishna cannot let you into Vrindavan. It's only the Vrajavasi. So you have to take shelter of a Vrajavasi to get into Vrindavan. And that Vrajavasi for us is none other than his divine gate, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. So when he says, don't leave my dhoti, I've realized why that is so important. Because you cannot get in through just Krishna's mercy, because Vrindavan is the Srimati Radharani's. And Radharani is sending through the parampara the mercy down through the spiritual masters to us to come and grab hold of us and take us back through their mercy. So we've got to surrender, serve, be determined, and be eager is the word, laulyam, greed, and then perfection will come. So, Hare Krishna.
Very nice, Prabhu. Very nice. Very good summary. Yeah, I think that's how we need to look at the verses. Prabhu's just taken key points from each, and rather than saying 16, 17, it's more of the flow. and then just extract out of it and put what you want to take home from it. That's how we need to actually approach Bhagavatam. That is the purpose of Bhagavatam, not just to read and take notes. It's also about contemplation. And until we do summary and look at practical application, we will never contemplate. Even in Bhagavad Gita, last Krishna tells Arjun what? Tells him to contemplate. He doesn't tell him to just take notes. Arjun, just take notes and fight. Right? So you have to contemplate. But to come to that process of contemplation, we have to take notes. We have to study more than once and understand the subject matter in a better way under guidance, of course. And then we can
very nicely explained. I just wanted to add something that, when it is said that we need to first serve the pure devotees. And by serving the pure devotees, one can actually have that affinity to hear the glorification of the Lord. And that is the first qualification which Prabhupada mentions, that that is the first qualification is to hear the glories of the Lord. And once we start hearing the glories of the Lord, then those
Anartha Nivritti
happens. And how it happens, Prabhupada mentions those words, when offenseless, that's very important, that word, offenseless hearing and glorification of God, when it is done, and then that sound vibration is as powerful as the Lord himself, that sound vibration. So that offenseless hearing and chanting, and then that offenseless chanting will hearing and chanting will make us closer to the Lord, who is actually that as powerful as the Lord. And then the Lord is also very anxious to take us back to him. So that is also very important.
He's more anxious.
He's more anxious, true.
Yeah, if we think that we are doing, that realization has come, that we think that we are doing, but what is happening? Is Krishna doing anything or not? Krishna is also very anxious. So Krishna is telling Prabhupada, saying that Krishna is more anxious than we are. So we do little, and then Krishna takes 100 steps to us. Like we take 10 steps, Krishna is taking 100 steps to us. So he is more anxious. The more word is very important. He's more anxious than we are. We don't realize, right? We don't think we are anxious, but Krishna is more anxious.
And that reciprocation can be experienced as well.
Yes.
So all of you would have experienced at some stage that reciprocation.
Yes, we all have gone through so many experiences in our bhakti life, right? So many things which we thought we cannot do, but haven't we accomplished those things, and haven't we come across those difficulties in our life which has come like huge mountains? So how did it happen? Did we do it all by ourselves? Yeah. No, we cannot do it by ourselves. It's only Krishna has helped us in doing it. Because it is said that, a leaf also doesn't move without the sanction of the Lord. Then all these things, how it is happening? Everything is happening by the will of the Lord. Yeah. So Krishna helps in all respect. So, and that's why then one becomes cleared of all the sins when we do all this process. So then the devotees, they are, it is said that, then when we are attending the classes, what is happening? What is happening? The anartha nivritti, all which is troublesome in the heart is getting
swept away.
Yeah. And then we are coming into the mode of goodness, and all the hankering, all the lamentation, everything is going away. And then we are coming into goodness, and further, we are coming into Shuddha Sattva stage, right? From goodness, we have to come to Shuddha Sattva stage. And then when we are in the mode of unalloyed goodness, the man whose mind has been enlivened by contact with the devotional service to the Lord gains positive, which is very important. He gains positive scientific knowledge about the personality of God. Very important, those words are positive scientific knowledge. Yes. And thus, and when all these things happen, then the knots in the heart is pierced. All those, whatever is there in the heart, everything gets destroyed. And that's what, that part also did it very nicely. So I just wanted to highlight those words. So for me to take away is, serving pure devotees, serving all the devotees. Actually, one thing which I've learned is that, we should not think that, we should always, I heard in one of the lectures that we should not think that, we should only serve the pure devotees. We should serve all the devotees. And we should never think, because the pure devotees, they never think they are pure devotees. They think that everybody is a pure devotee except me. That is Uttama.
Mood of a Mahatma.
That is a
Yeah.
Mahatma. So who are we to distinguish? So we need to serve all the devotees, whoever is there. We don't make any discrimination. So we serve all the devotees, and then by serving devotees, then our affinity to hear the message of the Lord will become stronger. And then only we can hear about it.
That's true.
And then constant hearing process should be there, because in this lockdown I've realized, because of this constant lockdown, we don't feel it is a lockdown. We feel so happy in our house also.
Yeah.
We are not going to the temple. We are still content. Why? Because every day that Shravanam is happening, isn't it?
Happening. Yeah.
Every day that Shravanam is happening on a regular, and this is called as regular. That Anushilanam, it is there in Anya Bilashta Shunyam.
Yeah.
Yanatamadi Anavrita. Anukulena Krishnanu. So, Shilanam Bhakti Uttama. Anushilanam is happening now. Regularly we are listening, and constantly also we are listening. I mean, of course, we have to do our sadhana, so that sadhana becomes constantly.
So technology is helping us now.
Of course, technology is helping us. I mean, see now this because of this technology, at least we are connected. Otherwise, just imagine if this was not there, we would all have gone crazy and insane.
Yeah.
Other people are feeling crazy, but we are not feeling crazy. Why we are not feeling crazy and insane? Because
we are connected.
We are connected with the superior knowledge.
Sadhu Sang is going on.
Sadhu Sang is happening every evening, so that's why we are not going insane. We are liking it. In fact, we are not finding it a bit troublesome. That troublesome in our heart is actually going down. So we don't find it that the lockdown here and all. In fact, I'm actually enjoying the lockdown.
Now the more thing is, we are getting more time to study.
Yes.
That's what is helping me. Because going to temple and coming back, it takes 3 hours. And that 3 hours we utilize for studying. At least some of the hours, not 3, at least 1 or 2 hours. So that much, reading time we are getting. Yeah. So Saturday, Sunday, especially.
Ray of hope is now we can get Bhakti Vaibhav. The more lockdown, Bhakti Vaibhav is becoming possible for us.
Once we are thorough with this 6 cantos, Mataji, we can actually go for Bhakti Vaibhav, but not before that, because we need to know this first 6 cantos nicely. So we need to study this Bhagavatam every day 2 hours. That is a requirement. Minimum requirement is to study Bhagavatam 2 hours every day. So when we fulfill all those boxes, if we tick mark, then we are qualified to actually enroll for Bhakti Vaibhav. Before that, no. Because they will go very fast and we will not be able to catch up. And moreover, that is a requirement and we have to fulfill that requirement.
And Mataji, not just that, but like for me, I personally feel that not just covering it, but really understanding it and going back to Bhakti Shastri. Like I feel I want to redo Bhakti Shastri. I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I'm thinking that this reinforces, and I think I was sharing with you, Mataji, that by reading Bhagavatam, I'm becoming better at essay marking. And and I think Revati Mataji will agree with me, because the knowledge is now being strengthened in terms of understanding better. So I realized that, oh my gosh, I think the first few essays that I marked in the first few rounds, I gave it away. I gave marks quite easily because I didn't have as much understanding as I have now.
Yes.
So so I got a bit worried when one of the students was marked a little lower, because I thought, oh my gosh. And so that independent marking was really good. Thank you, Mataji.
Yeah.
No, I think, I don't think I'll be qualified to even enroll in an Bhagavatam course until I refresh my mind on Bhakti Shastri first.
Yes, because remember in Bhakti Vaibhav also you have to do all these 4 books which we have done. So we should never neglect those books, because all these books which we have done in Bhakti Shastri, we will be doing it in Bhakti Vaibhav also. So if we think that Bhakti Shastri we have done and now we'll do Bhakti Vaibhav, it doesn't go like that. So Bhakti Vaibhav, all of Shastri, all the books, we have to be in touch with it on a regular basis. And we have to be into touch with all those other books as well.
And Srila Prabhupada's Leela Mrita, we need to read that as well into end, I think, because that's the main thing, isn't it?
Oh, we thought of studying that as well, right? Reading a little bit of Leela Mrita.
I think we should. I've started. I've started giving 15 minutes daily, Mataji.
Yeah, I've also
Yeah.
started. Yeah, I've
Mm.
started, but yeah, I'm not doing on an everyday basis, but I think I should include that.
Okay, Sumit Prabhu has raised his hand. He wanted to share something.
Slow now. I had an instant realization for
That's nice.
Instant bhakti.
for
Instant bhakti.
Mataji, please don't use your realization while checking our faces.
No, Mataji, this is the last module, so you have to be a bit like, be a bit
Oh, I didn't realize we've got some students in this forum.
It's a wild card entry.
yeah.
Okay, so who would like to add after that?
Just one point, I just want to bring up this question and make sure that everybody understands the difference between Sattva and Shuddha Sattva stage. If anybody is not clear, this might be a good platform to discuss and make sure that understanding is solidified.
Mode of goodness and mode of pure goodness.
That's right.
You want to explain that, Prabhu?
Perhaps you could do it better, Prabhuji, please.
No, I'm sure.
We'd like to hear it from you.
I'm just collecting all your ideas and trying my best to sum up at the end.
We already sum up everything.
Anybody else would like to share what they understand between goodness and pure goodness?
Prabhu, I can try, but then you
Please,
can
Mataji,
recap
please.
and then reinforce
Sure.
everyone's understanding. Mode of goodness is it's obviously getting above the mode of passion and ignorance, and it's Srila Prabhupada says it's what qualifies us to be a human being, and it's not the end all and be it all. We need to go above that in Sattva Guna, above it to be in the transcendental plane. So mode of goodness is the basic starting point of bhakti. The next stage is when we go above, over and above, to actually really understand, and that's what we should be aiming for. Mode of goodness is just a prerequisite, if you like.
That's right.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Yes, Mataji, please.
Yeah, even like, whether it is a mode of goodness or passion or ignorance, it is still binding in the material world.
Yes.
So whether you have a chain of gold or silver or bronze, so ultimately a gold chain also, if you're thinking
It's a chain.
mode of goodness is a gold chain, but still it is binding to the material world. Similarly, like other chains. So we don't want that binding to happen in the material world. So in order to get out of that three modes, even mode of goodness is not good. That's why we require to come to Shuddha Sattva, which is transcendental, which is above these three modes. Prabhuji, now back to you.
Absolutely. I mean, you hit the nail on its head. Very nice. So wonderful. All Bhakti Shastri students so proud. So yeah, so Bhakti, the mode of goodness is also the Brahminical stage, whereas the Shuddha Sattva stage is actually the Vaishnava stage.
Yeah.
The Brahminical stage is where one realizes that you're not the body, you're not the mind. You are actually at that point realize that you're the soul. But at that stage, you still do not clearly understand your relationship with the Supreme Lord. That Bhagwaniti, that concept has not sunk in. So, but that is a pre-qualification, like Vishwapati Mataji so rightly pointed out. It is a starting point to come to that stage where you understand that I am the soul, so that I can then understand further through further progression of our own sadhana, our own devotional service, to help us understand, okay, I've got to the stage where I'm the soul, Brahminical stage. So then I'm a part of the Lord, and I'm an eternal servant of the Lord. And who's the Lord, what he does, where he lives, how can I see him? That understanding comes when you further progress in devotional service and start entering into the stage of unalloyed service. It's Shuddhanam chanting, pure chanting. It's still Brahminical stage chanting. It's still like Namabhas. It's not pure chanting in the mode of goodness. But when we further progress and start engaging in Shuddhanam chanting, then we get into the Shuddha Sattva stage. That is actual Vaishnava stage, technically, as the Acharyas point out. And at that stage, we are entitled, and Srila Prabhupada quotes that in one of the purports in 16 to 22, only in that stage, we can actually see the Lord in person.
And you also come to know about your own Swarup, maybe.
Yes, Swarup will be revealed at the right stage, even by your spiritual master, as Srila Prabhupada says. And I've heard this from one of his lectures, that can be revealed by your spiritual master, but only if he thinks you have qualified and reached that stage. But we
Yes.
are too far off at the moment. I mean, at least for myself, I can speak. We are still in the Anatha stage kind of thing. It's still too far off. But for us, we don't have to worry about that. As the Acharya say, simply engage and serve the instruction of the spiritual master with faith and devotion. All perfection will automatically come. We don't have to strive for it. Don't aspire to see the Lord. We act in a way that the Lord wants to see us. That's all. Simple. We keep it really simple. Prabhuji, would you like to add anything else, please?
I think you've said it all. I mean,
Very nice. Yeah,
and
thank you.
the good word I think Gangri Mataji also used is sattva is a springboard. It is just like how a person born in a Brahminical family finds it easier in terms of the resources that are available to him to become a Brahmana. But it does not guarantee that he is going to become a Brahmana. But a person who comes from a lower, from other classes, he will have to struggle harder to become a Brahmana. That's all. So a person can come from a lower mode and come to bhakti also. There's no problem in that.
Yeah.
But a person who is situated or who's actually trying to do activities in the mode of goodness will find it easier to move towards Shuddha Sattva. And that's why Prabhupada, he actually gave us Shuddha Sattva. But
Directly.
we are not really qualified to jump to that plane. So he gave it in a way that we can understand, okay, let's start doing things in the mode of goodness first. Let me sleep in the mode of goodness. Let me eat in the mode of goodness. Let me do my activities in the mode of goodness. Because we can't comprehend what is Shuddha Sattva. We can't, it's Achintya. So at least if we are told do in the mode of goodness, we can visualize, we can plan, we can, do something in that direction. But the main gift that Prabhupada has given us is just by trying to engage in the mode of goodness or thinking we are engaged in the mode of goodness, actually by following Prabhupada's instructions, we are transcending the mode of goodness. But at what point we will be realizing that is based on many other factors, and we don't have to get worried about it.
Correct.
As long as we are making progress and we are stretching ourselves to make progress. That is the key thing.
Very nice.
Thank you, Prabhu.
And also, I thought if we got a few moments, I wanted to share a personal realization. We were talking, Vishmati Mataji was earlier discussing about reciprocation of the Lord. And I had an experience of that just a couple of days ago. Last Thursday, I believe, if I'm right, about 4:30, I was driving back from work. And I was listening to and reciting Radha Kund Ashtakam as I was driving along for 20-25 minutes drive, work to home. So I reached home. The Radha Kund Ashtakam also finished. And I had my shower, but 20 minutes, half an hour later, I got a call from Vrindavan. It's one of the devotees that I knew off and on over there. He resides next to the Radha Kund and serving the deities of Sri Srinivasa Acharya, whom I shared yesterday. So he's serving there next to the Radha Kund. He calls me once a week or something like that randomly and gives me just darshan of those deities. That's all. On this particular day, half an hour later, after I finished Radha Kund Ashtakam, reached home, he called me and he gave me darshan of the deities as normal. I said, okay, thank you, Prabhuji, fine, just a few seconds. Then he called me again 10 minutes later and he asked me, do you want darshan of Radha Kund? And I had tears in my eyes. I said, how is this possible? I just listened to Radha Kund Ashtakam, which is Raghunath Das Goswami's glorification of Radha Kund, because as we heard, he lived and served the Radha Kund all his life pretty much, almost 18 years, as we heard from Maharaj. So, and immediately here's Prabhuji trying to give me a darshan of Radha Kund. He walked to Radha Kund and he gave me a darshan of Radha Kund on the WhatsApp call.
Wow.
And I said, this highlighted to me the potency of our acharyas with the mercy of pure devotee, how we can get the association of Vrindavan, the association of, we can get this sort of just right, like Sutkis Prabhuji says, rings a bell in your head. And the faith becomes stronger. Nice. So with the mercy of pure devotee, there's nothing that cannot be accomplished. He can give you Vrindavan, he can get you in there by his mercy. By our efforts, we can't do anything. This is what I realized. But just by glorifying Radha Kund and hearing that, which is Raghunath Das Goswami's glorification, by his mercy, we got darshan. I got darshan. I said, wow, this is the potency that we all need to understand. The acharyas, bhajans and all are not to be taken lightly. It's got so much potency. That's what I personally felt. Thought I'll share that with all of you.
Wow. Thank you, Prabhu. Very nice.
Yeah, very nice,
Very
Prabhu.
nice.
Okay. Anybody else would like to add? Mataji, Mr. Prabhu?
Prabhuji, I don't want to add. I've got a suggestion for this forum. At some stage, when COVID is finally over and we are able to travel back to India, it might be a few years from now, I don't know. But maybe this group could go and visit together, do a visit together so we can go to all the places that we've talked about. And Nitai Pat Prabhuji, I must say that when you share those pictures, it's just so awesome. Yesterday, when you were sharing, I was actually clicking from my camera some of the photos so that I could keep it. So I know I visited some of those places, but not with that level of understanding. So, definitely would like to do it with some of you advanced devotees so that I can, now that we actually reading Bhagavatam, we can relate to it when we go and visit.
Yeah.
We'll relish
Very
it as
good.
well.
Good suggestion, very good suggestion.
Yeah, and we can start saving, we can start saving. So even if we have to take some leave without pay, it won't hit us because we sowing the seed now so that everyone can make plans. Please, I'd appreciate that.
Yeah, I second it.
Mataji, yeah, it's good to meditate on such things. Once you see the photos, meditate on that, Krishna will fulfill your desire, 100%. And what I can also do is the PDFs that I've created for all the Goswamis over the last week or so, I'll share them all in the WhatsApp group shortly after this class.
Yeah.
So everybody can,
Nice.
And
Very good.
Prabhu, since you're taking that effort, if you can just classify them like based on those photographs of
Yes,
the
just have some
acharyas and the
captions.
respective photographs and just a description,
Yeah.
that'll be nice. And just put it in one PDF or something. I can put it on Schoology.
I've got separate PDF for each of the Goswamis.
Okay.
that would
Oh,
be
that's
wonderful.
great.
Wow.
Nice.
And the location of those places, Prabhuji, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
You can Google it, Prabhuji. Don't
Thank you,
make too
No
hard.
pressure.
You
There
better
were
send
some-
it fast,
some he
otherwise they'll
mentioned-
tell you to write a book on each of the PDFs.
I also want to recommend His Holiness
what?
Indrajit Swami Maharaj. I think most of you might know he's very much into research of all the Goswamis in the past, manuscripts and all that. So he's been stationed in Vrindavan, in the Vrindavan Research Institute. He's been spending a lot of time there. And there's almost about 30,000 manuscripts and literatures and letters from the time of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Actually, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he was in Jagannath Puri and the Goswamis were in Vrindavan, there was letters being exchanged, letters. And the copies of them are present today in that Vrindavan Research Institute. And there are a lot of other manuscripts dating back from the time of, how Vajranabha established all the deities. And after that, we had the attack by the Mughals. And then what happened to all the Goswami deities? And where were they taken? They ended up in Jaipur, we know. But how did it go to Jaipur? All the details are all recorded on palm leaves and manuscripts there by the priests at that time. So His Holiness Indrajit Swami Maharaj has been spending a lot of time over the last couple of months. It's all in Sanskrit with some scholars and translating that. And he's put up some videos up there. I'll share the link with all of you. I suggest all of you listen to it. You will be in tears. It's a must listen. Only a month ago, he started sharing all those which are unheard of information, unheard of facts.
No, very good.
Please share.
First time.
Prabhuji, if you make the PDF,
Especially Radha Govinda Dev deity, how they ended up from Radha Govinda Ji Mandir to Jaipur. They went to Govinda Kund. They were hidden there overnight when they came to know that the Mughals were going to attack the following morning. And then they were taken to Radha Kund secretly. From there, they went to Kamyavan. Then they ended up in Jaipur. So it's almost like 10 or 12 sessions where Maharaj has given classes and details that of his findings from those manuscripts, which is unheard, unknown of till now. So I'll share that in the group with all of you.
if you make the PDF, then I can make the printout.
For all of us. Thank you, Prabhu.
Who's our print manager?
Yeah, that's my
Now
guarantee.
everybody is online, so that is definitely you can see it straight away. But no, thank you. So sorry, I'm just mindful of the time. We have to conclude. So can I just suggest because we've not recited the verses, we went straight on to the discussion. Can we just recite this section?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and if we have time, we'll summarize. Otherwise, we'll do it next time. Okay, so from 13 to 22, we'll do it in one hit altogether.
Okay.
Ata Kumbir
Haritoshana
Tasmadityamanasya
Bhagavan
Bhagavan
Sarvapati Kirtitanusya Deya Pujasti Te Vandanam Danti Kovidatasya Pona Kundya Katharita
Vasudeva
Katharuchi Yadmasya Svayavitra
Punyat
Trivatam
Krishna
Punya Sarvana Pratana
Prani Vidunati
Surisatam
Ashtapaishu Bhadreshu Nityam
Nityam Bhagavate
Sevaya
Sevaya
Bhagavatam
Bhagavatam
Shloke
Naistiti Tam Sati Prasiddhati Evam Prashana Manaso Bhagavata Bhagavata Tata Vijnayam Muktangasya Jayate
Evatmanishware
Bhakti Maya Muda Vasudeva Bhagavati Vantyatma Prasadanim.
Just take turns and read the translation. So starting with Nityapan Prabhu.
15, Prabhuji, starting from 13.
Translation of 13. So just take turns and read all the translations.
Sure. O best among the twice born, it is therefore concluded that the highest perfection one can achieve by discharging the duties prescribed for one's own occupation according to caste division and orders of life is to please the personality of Godhead.
Therefore, with one pointed attention, one should constantly hear about glories, remember and glorify the personality of Godhead, who is protector of the devotee.
With sword in hand, intelligent men cut through the binding knots of reactionary work, karma, by remembering the personality of Godhead. Therefore, who will not pay attention to his message?
O twice born sages, by serving those devotees who are completely freed from all vice, great service is done. By such service, one gains affinity for hearing the messages of Vasudeva.
Sri Krishna.
No, you go ahead, Mataji.
Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is Paramatma, Super Soul, in everyone's heart, and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted.
By regular attendance in classes on Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental song, is established as an irrevocable fact.
As soon as irrevocable loving service is established in the heart, the effects of the nature's modes of passion and ignorance, such as lust, desire, and hankering, disappear from the heart. Then the devotee is established in goodness and he becomes completely happy.
Thus established.
You go, Mataji.
Thus established in the mode of unalloyed goodness, the man whose mind has been enlivened by contact with devotional service to the Lord gains positive scientific knowledge of the personality of Godhead in the stage of liberation from all material association.
Thus, the knot in the heart is pierced, and all misgivings are cut to pieces. The chain of fruitive actions is terminated when one sees the self as master.
Last one.
Certainly, therefore, since time immemorial, all transcendentalists have been rendering devotional service to Lord Krishna, the personality of Godhead, with great delight, because such devotional service is enlivening to the self.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
Jai.
So yeah, we've got about 4 minutes. If it is okay, I've just got that's that section.
Haribo.
13 to 22. Actually 16 to 22. So if you want, I can just quickly go through it. If it's something we can note down.
Okay.
So I'm not going to go text wise, I'm going to go just the theme. Okay. So the main theme is to please Krishna. It all starts off with pleasing Krishna. To please Krishna, we have to do 4 activities. If we keep doing those 4 activities, we will develop the desire to serve the devotees. As Vishnumaji said, devotees, it should be devotees. Our goal should be just to serve devotees, more so pure devotees. So, and that is a starting point. So we have to please Krishna. For us, pleasing Krishna is very difficult. How do you please Krishna? Please Krishna by doing those 4 activities, as Krishna tells us. That's why by doing those activities, we have to tell ourselves, I'm trying to please Krishna. But by doing those 4 activities, we have to develop that desire, which is not there at the moment, to serve devotees. That is the starting point. If you develop that desire and actually try and serve devotees, just try, then we get the affinity to hear. If we develop the affinity to hear, we will automatically develop the affinity to read. Because we don't like to hear, we don't like to read. So that is a very important point. Once we develop the affinity to hear, then what happens? All our material desires, we don't clean them. But because we are hearing about Krishna, Krishna is entering through the holes of our ears, penetrating into our heart, and personally, I've discussed this before, personally is cleaning our heart. And so our material desires, they are cleansed. We have desires, but they are not material, they're not attached. We have different desires. Then what happens? Because he's doing that, all that is troublesome within us and around us, all that is troublesome is completely destroyed, almost completely destroyed. Bhagavatam says. Because it is destroyed, all that our focus, our attention, our time is taken by things that are troublesome to us, right? Now, when the troublesome thing is automatically destroyed by Krishna, what happens? We have a lot of time. We have a lot of desires. We have a lot of inclinations that now we are not fighting. We are not firefighting. What do we do with that? We develop that loving service unto Krishna. Now we are doing loving service. Because of we are doing loving service, automatically our affinity for lust, desire, and hankering as a conditioned soul, not as a pure soul, as a conditioned soul, these things automatically disappear without any interval. Because they disappear, we are automatically, by default, we are situated in the mode of goodness. Because we are in the mode of goodness, we feel happy. Because we feel happy and we are engaging in that service, Krishna reveals to us the positive scientific knowledge. Why scientific? Because we get all our answers to the why. Why? And because we get those answers, everything, it's like puzzle pieces. They kind of start joining up nicely. And then we can see a pattern and we can follow it, understand it, and we can explain it to others and they can also understand it. So it becomes a scientific process, not just to use the word science. It is something that can be proved by ourselves and we in turn can help others prove it to themselves. So we don't prove it to others. We don't have the ability. But we can give them the same process so that they can prove to themselves. That's a big difference. And because we are doing that, we are, although in this material world, we are in a liberated state where things that are troublesome, things that are problem, they don't affect us. And this is the process, scientific process of bhakti, that we can actually realize, and we can help others distribute this process. The scientific positive knowledge, the process of bhakti. 13 to 20. Thank you very much.
Haribo.
Haribo.
Prabhuji,
Nice.
photocopy. Photocopy.
I will send.
Take a photo and put in the group, Prabhu, if you don't mind.
I'm a very shortcut person, Prabhu.
No, that's fine. It's very good.
I only remember short things, small things. Devotee Mataji knows, nothing is beyond 3 years.
LDH. All I remember in this 13 to 22, Prabhu, I wrote in my notes is LDH. Remove LDH. And then what is it's in my computer also, I have put that.
Nice one.
LDH. I also can't remember. Lust, desire, and hankering. That's what I remember. I wrote it. What is the homework, Prabhu? 22 to?
Yes. So I think we will let's cover the rest of the chapter. Not much. We've done 22. It's only 34 verses. So let's cover the next section. And I would suggest we spend like in your normal regular study, you spend a bit more time on these verses, especially 16 to 22. Actually, each verse we can discuss in each session. Just one verse. It's so much better than that. Obviously, we don't want to. We can do that, but we also want to keep moving. So I would suggest 23 to 34 is our next session. Just do the same thing. Moving ahead, I think we should all just gist. So something that we can discuss with somebody, like it's just about. I finished in about 4 minutes. So in 4 minutes, just give a full gist and take 1 or 2 points that have been influenced. For example, this whole process of bhakti, I've just realized myself that maybe I'm not able to serve devotees in a way that I should. So what is it that I can do to serve devotees, even through lockdowns? So temple is doing these prasadam distribution. I had somebody call me and say they want to do some donation to needy people in India. I said, why? You are in New Zealand. People are needy even in New Zealand. And people are providing for them. Why don't you just help them? Maybe just keep the donation over there. So sometimes, we don't really realize these things. And another thing I was supposed to talk next time, but I just share, and if you're keen, we can discuss more the next session. Is we have got Kartik Math coming. And we discussed about having smaller groups, each one of us, where we do a read and relish with people that we are aware of, like who are interested, but they are not so keen to actually get themselves involved in a program or temple, but they are in touch with us. So let's bring them together and start reading together. And a good opportunity is to just call them and have a one-on-one Zoom session with them, do a full Kartik program. And if they are keen, and who knows how the lockdown is going to go, but if we still are restricted in terms of meeting outside, then we can start a Zoom session with them and some other people that we have done Kartik programs with. Let's say supposing you do 7-8 Kartik programs, of which 3 people are interested to keep on reading, you form a separate group, start a reading program. So it is service to them, it is service to Srila Prabhupada. And I thought, even though we are not able to physically do service, this is a good opportunity to increase our absorption in Krishna and at least try and please Prabhupada as much as possible. That's what this verse gave me at this point. So think about it and we can discuss more next time.
And reading is like Srila Prabhupada's small books, not like Bhagavatam and all. We can
Yeah.
small books with them, and that way we can cover ourselves also, the reading of other books of Srila Prabhupada.
Yeah, I was about to start the laws of karma. With I don't know how far I'll go, but I'm starting. So that's
very nice.
But they will not want to see I don't know. I'm just starting, but I hope it continues for long. And I finish the book reading. That is what my goal is.
Just take a small book and target just to finish one book. And the intent is that before you finish that book, they should, somehow or the other, we pray to Prabhupada to make them more thirsty.
Yeah.
So rather than me saying, do you want to continue, they should say, okay, what next? Right? Like all of you after finishing Bhakti Shastri, you all did Hirao and you said, what next?
Yeah.
Same feeling we want to instill and take it out there and give it to others. And I thought this is a wonderful opportunity without doing too much effort. Spread the word. All right, thank you very much. Bhagavatam ki jai.
Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Jai
Krishna Prabhu ki jai.
Thank you very much.
So much, Prabhuji. Thank you so much, everyone. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
Mataji, make dalia khichdi, not rice khichdi. Okay, next Saturday.
Now you have advice.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
All the Kishri now.